Tommy Daniels here. Welcome to the Allen Americans podcast, and very pleased to be joined by a good friend, longtime friend, and a member of the St. Louis Blues equipment staff. I call him Drew. I've called him other names too. Andrew Dvorak. Hey, buddy, good to see you.
Hey, Tommy. Thanks for having me.
Well, congratulations, man. And I know, I think I've sent you a million Snapchats of you on TV. I can't tell you how proud I am of you for not only your accomplishments, but doing such a great job and getting a Stanley Cup ring last year, which is just amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was definitely a fun experience and one of a kind, that's for sure.
So you take that big step up to the NHL. Everybody dreams about that works in the minors. What's it like? Walk through your first year with St. Louis.
It was fun. It was definitely different. It's a different beast up here, that's for sure. From players to, travel, everything like that. Spending almost probably 15 years in the minors. And then coming up here, it's definitely a dream come true. That's for sure.
So this year was different for everyone. Of course, our season came to a crashing halt in March due to COVID-19, but you got to experience something completely different. And I've been dying to talk to you about this. Life in the bubble. What was that like?
Yeah, it was different. Kind of when obviously our season, your guys' season kind of came to a halt at the same time. We were on a plane on our way back from the West Coast, and we were getting notifications on Twitter and everything else that we're kind of coming to a stop. So we didn't really know going in. We basically got unpacked from that road trip, and they're like, all right, we'll see you guys when we see you. We had no idea how long that was going to be, and obviously it was quite a while. And then our return to play process was interesting in itself. The amount of players that could be in the facility at one time, and all the new requirements we had to do cleaning wise, and to water bottles, to laundry, all that kind of stuff. It changed everything. And then when we got to stage 4 and going to the bubble, that was an experience itself. It was an awesome experience, but it was a very tough experience, especially the equipment trainers, especially us being one of the top seeds. So we weren't doing the playing games, but we're still playing games. But we were based out of the practice rink. So we had to move equipment a lot. I think we moved it a total of 21 or 22 times while we were in Edmonton. So it was a lot of work, and it was a great experience to because there 12 teams in one city. That doesn't happen very often. So we got to see a lot of our peers and work alongside them. Getting moved into buildings while games are going on, and trying not to be in the way of other teams and players going out to the game. And it was the NHL did a really good job of facilitating it and having everything lined up for us, and locker rooms and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good experience. But after 30 days away, you want to get home, and we wish we would have been there a little bit longer, but it was a good experience.
And I saw some behind the scenes videos of all, as you mentioned earlier, all the training staffs working together. That had to be pretty bizarre with, you've got Vancouver, Dallas, all these different teams, Chicago, all these rivals from the West. And you guys are all working hand in hand together to kind of help each other out to get, as you mentioned, moving in and out of locker rooms and all those different situations that came up. That had to be just very bizarre.
It was, we all work together pretty well during the season, but it's usually, 2 teams in a building. Occasionally you'll have, a team coming in right after a team's getting done playing. But, it was a very unique situation in that. But, we're all we all work together to, at the end of the day, we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. So they had, a great group of guys that were in the city helping us out. Trainers. So in Edmonton, we had, I think it was about five or six guys that were helping us out, get into the building and, taking care of laundry and, setting up the benches and everything like that. From teams around the league. And it was seamless. You would have thought it was just a regular, game that you're there for. Probably one of the coolest things was, you walk into Edmonton's training or laundry room, and over the corner there's a jersey cage, and there was 12 teams jerseys hanging up in there, and that
Wow.
was a very unique thing to see. I thought that was probably one of the coolest things out of the whole situation.
Yeah, that was very very neat. I love that behind the scenes. They were doing on NHL Network, and I think NBCSN ran it as well. So, curious minds want to know. And by the way, this is Andrew Dvorak from the equipment staff of the St. Louis Blues joining us here on the Americans podcast. So your day off, you're in a bubble. What do you do? I mean, what's your routine? Because you can't go very far away. So take me through your day.
Yeah, our days kind of consisted of, if we were at practice rink, usually that afternoon we were moving to the game rink to set up for game the next day. Off the hop, we had all the kind of midday games. So we would practice, the day before, move all the gear post practice to Rogers, get set up. Uh, there was a couple times where we couldn't move in until later on in the evening. But for the most part, the middle game was able to move in, that afternoon. So that was nice. After the first game got over, we could move in. But if it was an off day, there really wasn't much to do. We had, guys that would go in on off days and skate, like, our goalie and our goalie coach would go in and skate. So, there's three of us, and one of us, I think we had 3 off days while we were there. And one of the three of us would go in with, the extra guys and the goalie coach and the goalie on that off day. And the other 2 of us would probably sleep or, get up in the afternoon, have some lunch, and mill around the yard, as we called it, which was a little plaza outside of Rogers between the hotel, and hang out there and watch. They had basketball up there, the hockey games up on the big screen out there. Lots of Tim Hortons coffee was drank, and lots of donuts.
Yeah, Timmy Horton, great donuts, great coffee. Andrew Dvorak joining us here from the St. Louis Blues equipment staff. And I saw that area where they had the basketball courts up there. Now, were all the players from all different teams mingling out together, having a good time?
Uh, there wasn't a lot of that. Guys would stop and say hi and passing, but there wasn't, a lot of the teams, because the first, I think it was 5 days we were up there, we couldn't really intermingle. They didn't want the teams, coming in contact with each other type thing.
Yeah.
So it was very, it's very, everyone had their little area that they were sitting in, and for the most part, guys were staying in the hotel, and we all had lounges that we could use, and so guys were there, and so it was a very unique situation in that, like, we had to go to dinner at a certain time at certain restaurants throughout that first 5 days, and then after that, it was kind of, all right, you guys kind of do your own thing. But there was obviously 3 hotels off the hop that we were using, and each of them had a restaurant in it. So yeah, you basically had 3 options on the restaurant side to pick from, and then Uber Eats and Skip the Dish and all that kind of stuff you could order food from, and so you had those options as well. But it was, you're either eating at a steakhouse or like a kind of fresh food area. We're Italian, so but it was fun. It was good.
How many days, Andrew, were you inside the bubble?
I think it was a total of 28 days that we were there.
Wow.
It was a long 28 days, but it was good.
But I bet the accommodations in the NHL, the hotels you're staying at, are a lot better than some of the AA leagues, huh?
Yeah, they're not bad. We were lucky enough to be in the JW uh, the whole time. There was 6 teams there at the JW, and then 6 teams at Sutton, uh, a block away. So the top 6 were at JW, and then the lower 6 were at the Sutton. And then if the lower seeds were left once people started getting eliminated at the JW, they moved over. So it was nice in that aspect. JWs are nice hotels, but we couldn't use the pool. We couldn't, there's a lot of things we couldn't use within the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of tied your hands a bit. But there's a lot of stuff. We had ping pong in our lounge, and there was golf simulators and all sorts of stuff.
Walk us through the procedure of when the guys would come in the morning. I mean, were you automatically tested every day when you come in? How did that work?
Yeah, so every morning before you went to practice, well, at least the training staff, every morning we would go get tested, and then they would have a car service pick us up and take us to the practice rink. So we'd go over. It was on the even days, it was nose, and then odd days, it was a throat scrape,
Which is
which was
better?
the nose. I'll take that
Okay.
any day.
Yeah.
I'm not big with, I have a bad gag reflex as well as probably everyone in the bubble. So the odd days weren't very much fun, and we kind of got a double whammy, at the end of July and beginning of August, because 2 odd days, next to each other. You thought you were getting the nose, but then you realize, oh, it's an odd day. We're getting throat again today.
Wow. Yeah. I had one test, and it was a nose test. It was obviously very simple. I did it through a local pharmacy here, and I went through the drive-through. And
Yeah,
basically, everything is done. The guy's on the phone. He calls you on your cell phone, tells you what to do. You're done. It's in your nose. Twirl it for 15 seconds each side, and then boom, you put it back through the drive-through again, and you're done. And of course, thankfully, mine came back negative, and that was just had to because I was leaving to go visit my daughter, who lives on a military base, and in order to get in, I had to have that test. So I'm
yeah.
glad I got to experience it once, but I can't imagine you guys having to do that every single day.
Well, and we were doing it. We were doing it basically the last, I think it was like 3 weeks. We were doing it every other day,
Okay.
leading up to going there, and then once we got there, it was every day. So I've had I've had my fair share of COVID tests to this point.
I thought the NHL did an amazing job, and a lot of it might be credit to the TV crew with, even though there were no fans in that arena, the atmosphere watching those games on TV with whether the sound they were piping in, it seemed like a real game. To me, I didn't notice any difference, but how about being there in an empty arena? How was that?
It was very weird. You look up in the stands during warm-ups, and usually there's lots of people there, and there's nobody except for Pierre Maguire, or doctors, or the referees for that night are sitting up in the stands watching warm-ups. So that was weird. And once you got going, you didn't really notice it till the stoppages. When you'd look around, because they're pumping in a little bit of crowd noise, but even that we didn't start noticing it till later games. I noticed it probably more watching the games once we got back. um, you notice the crowd noise more, but it was definitely different. You get a puck on the bench, and you usually flip it up in the stands, and there's nobody there to flip it to. So,
Yeah.
we had a couple extra pucks, and it was a weird experience in that aspect.
couple things for you before we let you go. What will you take away from the whole bubble experience? What's the memory?
Uh, just working with, you know, the other 12 teams there, and the great help we had from the league, getting into the buildings and out, and they did a great job on that side. It kind of helped us do our job better, because we knew, ahead of time we had a big spreadsheet that we got, and we knew what room we were going into, what time we could move in, and what time it would be cleaned and all that kind of stuff. So that was, it was showed you, there was a lot of work that went in to pull it off. That's for sure.
Last but not least, it's every kid's dream who's a hockey player, hockey fan, to raise that Stanley Cup, win a championship ring. You got to do both. You were a part of it with the St. Louis Blues. What was that like, first of all, getting to hoist that cup, and how about the ring presentation?
Uh, the night we won it in Boston was awesome. From where we were at the beginning of the year to where we ended up, it was, it was a unreal experience. It kind of didn't hit me till after I'd hoisted the cup, and I'm standing there talking to my wife on the ice in Boston, and I'm like, all right, now I'm getting emotional about it. Where you see guys crying, hoisting it. I didn't get emotional until after the fact. I don't think I really, let myself think about it too much. But, and then, the whole summer of, with the cup and my cup day, having that was a special experience for myself and my family. And, watching my son sit on a table and just stare at the names on the cup and touching it, and, asking questions of our cup handler, Mario, who was awesome, about different things about the cup. And then watching him at our cup party, recite those details that Mario told him earlier in the day to people that were there. It was just a special experience. And then, in September when we got our rings was unbelievable. They did a great job, presenting them to us and making it a really awesome night, not only for us, but for our wives and, our team doctors and, alumni and everything else that were a part of it. Everyone getting their rings together was such a cool experience, and, everything else that went into it. And, once we got that, it was kind of like, all right, now we're moving on and starting up the next year. So, but it was a one of a kind experience.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I can't thank you enough for sharing that experience with us today. I've been dying to talk to you about this since it ended, but I wanted to give you some time to get back home and enjoy family after spending those 28 days in the bubble. And, you made me a Blues fan. I've known Dvorak for a long time, and Steve Ott as well, going back to their Dallas days. And I can't tell you how proud I am of you. Every time I was watching on TV and I saw you come up on the screen, I'd get a Snapchat and send it to you. And, in those pictures you shared with me the night coming back on the plane, man, that was so cool. I almost felt like I was there and a part of it.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I didn't make it too long into the flight because it was a very long season and long day, and but it was a fun experience, that's for sure.
Well, Andrew, and if you were just tuning in, boy, what a great chat we had here with Andrew Dvorak, the part of the equipment staff with the St. Louis Blues. My friend, enjoy the rest of your time off before we start again, and thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much, Tommy. I appreciate it, and have a good season.
You too.